Hello, thank you, Mrs. President, Mr. Delegatu, for the invitation, for this kind invitation and for this interesting conference. Interesting because we have the possibility to show not so technical talk, but a little bit about EU policy, and have two examples of two European funded projects in the thematical area of energy efficient buildings. So, brief, the short about Bavarian Research Alliance. We are financed by the Bavarian Ministry to support European project within Bavaria, but for making European project we need always good and strong partners all around Europe. And for example, we have some projects supported, and some projects we initiated, and therefore I would like to show you here two projects. Harvin, it's an energy efficient building for the windows, and Innovip, this is an EIB project 2 funded by the European Commission, where they want to develop some insulators. This EU project is interesting because it's a multinational project and is funded by the European Commission. If we look now, we have here in this project 11 partners out of 5 member states and 1 associated state. This is Switzerland. And this is funded with 3.4 million euros. The duration was 3 years, it finished, and the thematic was according to the statistic was Mr. Balagas already said, that 37% of the energy consumption is through the buildings. And to stop this energy consumption, let's say to have better isolation, the European Commission forward always more calls, let's say it like this, in the thematical areas of materials or energy efficient buildings. If you look now, the first project, Harvin, there the expected impact by the Commission said was energy savings of life cycle up to 20%, then weight reduction of the frame of the whole windows, and very important to have less reduction and less energy consumption is the insulating of windows. And within the project Harvin, this impact could be fulfilled. And more interesting is that, let's say, for the end user who buy the windows, is only interesting the noise and heat insulation. But for the Commission, which have a policy to reduce the energy and material consumption during the production, or strengthen in stability transparency during the life cycle assessment of the whole windows, this can be done. The next project, once again, funded by the European Commission. We have multinational project, 13 partners out of 5 countries, with Israel as associated partner too. This is funded with 5 million euros, duration is 3 years. It started last year. And this is interesting because there they would invent vacuum insulated panels. Because if you use styropor, styropor is thick, styropor is dangerous if it gets burned and stuff like this. Now they want to innovate some panels which have a better isolation than styropor panels. And they try to make a standardization in this way that these panels can be measurable, adjustable and mountable easy, let's say for the architecture, in new buildings or existing buildings. These are all projects which have, let's say, a work program, a work packages. Just brief view into the two projects, how a European project is built up. It's built up of different work packages, here for Harvin and for Innovip. Here, for example, we have the material, we have the envelope, because you need to use the material, put this material into an envelope to seal it, so you have the panels, so the panels can be used easily by the architecture. And for this, for each of these work packages, you need a lot of partners. It's not possible to have one partner for one project. Because it's a European funded project, you need minimum 3 partners. Because it's a European funded project, you need, let's say, different skills. It's not only multinational, it's multidisciplinary. And for this, you see that in the, for the work package, you need different partners. And if you look now for the impact of an EU project, then you need to take account that the EU funds the project not only to fund science. Science is nice, but the EU project is very important to make out of science results, and out of the results, products and services. This is very important. So impact is a part of your project idea. So you need to look at what is the impact of your idea, of your project. You need to emphasize that your idea is sustainable. It is very important for the, not for the Commission only, but for the whole population of Europe. It's a socioeconomic challenges you need to emphasize. And then each partner, because it's a multinational project, should contribute to the impact. Because it's multidisciplinary, the physics or the material science or the engineers, each of them have different impacts, and this should be emphasized. Research innovation is very important, but therefore you need some networks. Networks to have, let's say, emphasize between the different partners in between the project. Out of the impact, with the help of the EU funding, you get some product and some services or some methods. And these methods should be afterwards, after the project, let's say after 5 or 10 years of the end of the project, should be available for the wealth of the European Union. And the principal idea of all these European fundings, now we have the Horizon 2020, maybe it's known for someone. No one knows this European funding. Nice. This is very important because the idea of this funding of the European Commission is now from 2014 till 2020. It's about 18 billion euros. The idea is to close the gap. And what is the gap? This is, let's say, the idea that in the beginning of science, of an idea, we have the knowledge. But only knowledge do not produce a service, do not produce a product. We have no market with only knowledge. And we need to close the gap between the science and the business. And there, the Commission identified for themselves, according to some concepts in the United States, that they need to close the gap. And they close the gap, the valley of death, it's called, with EU funding. So it's important to have an idea, and this idea should have an impact for the market. If you can show the impact for the market, then you get the funds of the European Commission. And here you see a technical readiness level, once again an idea from the States, which makes, this is the value chain of knowledge from basic research to market. And if you can identify the impact and describe how your idea can impact the market, then you can close the gap and get, let's say, the fundings of the European Commission. What I wrote here is investment by the public sector. Public sector is the European Commission, for example, or regional or national funds. In the beginning, if you have an emerging technology, you know, or high-risk idea, then it's not very often that you get money from the industry, but it's a possibility to get money from the public sector. With this money, with these funds, with these grants, you can make this knowledge to a service, and if you are somewhere in the middle, you can get the, let's say, some investment by the private sector. And this is the concept of the smart specialization. Smart specialization is a concept of the European Commission to, let's say, make synergy between the private sector funds and the public sector. Additionally, it's a possibility to make synergy between the regional, national and European funds. Therefore, it's called Research Innovation Strategy for Smart Specialization, a strategy approach to economic development to target support for research innovation. The European Commission invited each region in Europe, it's about 115 regions, to write a smart specialization concept. This concept identified, let's say, the strength of each region in which thematical area they would like to work, which thematical area is strong, and in this smart specialization concept, each local authority of this region define which are the methods to strengthen these capabilities. That means they make an analysis in which area each region is strong and how they can forward these capabilities. And the Commission said to the regions, you should put a smart specialization, a target method, how you enforce your capabilities in your region, in which thematical areas. If you do this, then you get, let's say, additional fund. This is called the European Structure Funds. For Europe, for the European Commission, it's about 325 billion euros for 2014 to 2020. Greece, for example, gets 16 billion euros for this 7 years. And out of this money, you have some regional development methods. This is regional or national fundings. And if you look now, the idea, the synergy of the smart specialization of combining different funds, here once again, we have excellence. We have the idea, the basic research. The basic research can be and should be funded by public money. By public money, this is the AC funds, this is European Structure and Investment Funds, according to the smart specialization concept of each region. If we get now here this basic research funded, then we can make some science, we can make some research, we can make some development, and we get forward to the market. And the closer you get to the market, the closer you get to private sector investments. And in the middle between research and market, you have the Horizon 2020 fundings for single projects. For projects where a multinational consortium out of 5, 6 member states with 10 or 15 partners come together to one idea in energy efficient buildings, come work together and make an impact for the market. This is the idea, and when I look now, for example, the concepts which are given by the local authority in Macedonia, where Thessaloniki is, and the local authority in Bavaria, for Greece, for Macedonia, the local authority said for them, their capabilities and where they would like to strengthen the capabilities in construction, for manufacturing, in industry. Construction sounds like energy efficient buildings. And if you look now in Bavaria have some capabilities for them defined too in manufacturing industry, and nanotechnology and engineering. Nanotechnology is always close to materials, and you need materials for energy efficient buildings projects, like in the one project I told you, InnoVip. InnoVip is the vacuum panels where you put some materials inside to have a high insulation. My imagination is now, if you think you can get some regional fundings of Macedonia, the Greek part, and some regional funding of Bavaria, then they can enhance their research. By enhancing their research, we go back. By enhancing their research, they can go in this area and get some horizon money. So if the Bavarian and the Macedonian get their regional money, it is according to the concept of the smart specialization, they will be enhanced one step beyond, and then they can make common projects together. A multinational project funded by the European Commission within Horizon 2020. This is, let's say, the raw idea of the smart specialization. Bring regions together, identify which region fits to which other regions according to their thematical areas. Bring them together in, for example, manufacturing or energy efficient buildings. And this may be a good starting point for you to identify yourself where you can find you in the next Horizon 2020 topic.
5 minutes.
Thank you. Each year the Commission publicates some topics within Horizon 2020, and within these topics you can write a proposal, but you need always a consortium. For example, with Serbia, with Greece, the United Kingdom, with Bavaria and stuff like this. If you have a consortium according to a thematical area, in this area or in this one, then you can apply a proposal. And these are the proposals, the topics, which are discussed now in the Commission and which will be publicated officially October this year. That means if this is going to be published October this year, you have 3 months time to write a proposal with your multinational consortium and to submit this proposal to the Commission. And if this is well evaluated, if you wrote your impact very good, then you get the fundings for starting a new project, for a multinational project. That was the talk, and I hope you can identify yourself in one of these thematic areas to make a multinational consortium. Thank you.
Thank you very much.